Tonight, we'll investigate one of the most historic and haunted towns in America, Salem, Massachusetts.
Whoa!
We'll explore some of the key locations and people connected to the infamous Salem witch trials.
My heart is racing right now.
Along the way, we'll uncover shocking revelations about what led to the most notorious case of mass hysteria in American history.
Oh my God.
The mob frenzy here in New England led to hundreds of arrests and dozens of executions. To this day, these restless spirits continue to haunt this quaint harbor town.
Whoa!
We'll connect with these tortured souls and answer the questions that have shaped Salem for generations.
Whoa!
Are you serious?
We're the Tennessee Wraith Chasers. We travel America exploring the country's most haunted towns.
Oh, Alice!
Dude, this is moving right behind you.
Oh!
Investigating paranormal stories that have spooked locals for generations.
What do you mean, yank? Oh!
We combine historical research with modern science and some good old-fashioned Southern know-how to find the truth at the heart of the legend.
Fire! Homicide! Satan?
Just a bunch of good old boys having a little fun chasing ghosts around America. This is Haunted Towns, Colonies. But Salem is probably better known for something far more sinister, the witch trials of 1692. It all started when a group of young girls claimed to be possessed by the devil. The girls, known as the afflicted, accused fellow villagers of being witches. This deeply religious Puritan community believed the accusations of witchcraft and held trials for those accused. In 2 years, more than 200 Salem residents were arrested and 20 were actually executed. Historians now believe the Salem witch trials to be one of the most classic cases of mass hysteria in world history. In the century since the trials, paranormal activity has flourished in Salem. Everything from apparitions where the trials took place to wailings on Gallows Hill where those convicted were put to death. Our first stop in this haunted New England town, the Witch's Brew Cafe.
Guys, what better place to kick off our investigation of Salem? The Witch's Brew Cafe. Between 1692 and 93. 20 people were executed for witchcraft, 19 of which were hanged. One guy was pressed to death with stones.
Wow. Holy crap.
Yeah, you know, the more I've read into these trials, the more suspicious I've become of those that were making the accusations. These afflicted girls, I mean, they were all young, and they were 9, 10, 11, and 12. And all those men and women that were hanged for witchcraft, I mean, they were in their 50s and 60s. But the thing is, these girls are all members of certain families, and the families were fighting over land grants. The reverends were fighting with parishioners over salaries, and then all of their adversaries seemed to turn up being accused of witchcraft. Personally, I think that the people that were executed are sticking around because they're angry that they were killed under false pretenses.
I'd really like to check out Pierce Farms. I mean, back in the day, there was this lady named Mary Easty. She was executed for witchcraft, but she hid out there just prior to that.
Yeah, the reports from that farm, I mean, there's crazy activity going on there. Doors open and close by themselves. That sounds like to me like a poltergeist.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've set up an interview with Sam Baltrusis. Now, he's an author, and he literally wrote the book on Salem. So I would imagine he's gonna have some more locations for us to check out to tie this story together.
My boy, sounds like we got ourselves a plan.
The Salem witch trials affected much of Salem and the surrounding areas, so we're hoping Sam, the historian, can help narrow down the locations we should investigate.
This is, look at this.
Yeah.
Wife of Captain Isaac. Man, this is really cool. I mean, it's the age of these. I mean, I don't think I've been anywhere.
This
cemetery
is
this old.
Yeah, this is the oldest cemetery I've ever been to, Porter. I mean, I don't have words to describe this. I mean, I hate to use the word out of a haunted house, but you know, you think about the whole Halloween theme, but these real graves look like that.
The thing is, though, is that, you know, you've read about this in books at school. You know, you learned this in the history of the United States.
Right.
But to see names on these stones that that you read about, you know, it makes that connection for you.
These are real people. I mean,
so
I feel like we just don't know enough. I mean, why? I have a bunch of questions of why.
Right.
Why hang them? I mean,
you know, and it's The history, the dark history part, and all the evidence, you know, it keeps pointing to that there's an internal conspiracy that maybe is not written anywhere, that nobody knows about. You know, the girls, you know, they were accusing these people of witchcraft, and all these girls were connected to the same families. And then, you know, all of the people who their adversaries, the ones that they were, you know, that they were trying to battle against, either for land grants or whatever the case may be, those were the ones they kept accusing of witchcraft. And so, you know, by virtue of that, since you're in the height of all this, you know, this hanging of the witches and removing the witches, you know, it removes their adversaries, so it opens the door for them to expand and to gain that ground. So, you know, it's almost like that conspiracy existed in the background and was never brought out to the front. And maybe that's why the spirits are not at rest.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can find the truth. I mean, like I said, I mean.
Yeah, I hope so. Well, let's get over here and we'll meet him. I hear you're the man that's got the scoop on Salem.
Yeah, actually, I've written a book on Salem. I also give tours in Salem, so
great.
I know where to go.
So the Puritan Church, what was their role in the witch trials? I mean,
Actually, the ministers played a major role. They were the facilitators to a lot of the testing that went on in regards to the Salem witch trials. Reverend Thomas Barnard. Thomas Barnard was the major player in what was happening in 1692.
really?
So where exactly did Thomas Barnard live?
It's a historic house known as the Parson Barnard House, and it's very, very active paranormally.
Are there any other locations that you would suggest us to go to?
Absolutely. Cinema Salem was the location for one of the taverns, and taverns were the hotbed of activity in Salem at the time. In fact, that's where a lot of the people were brought in for pre-examination. They were asked questions, and they also were stripped down naked, and people would look for witch marks on them as well.